When you think of traits you find admirable, have you ever paused and asked yourself where that admiration actually came from? Was it something you saw growing up? Was it something you needed but didn't get? A person who made you feel safe? While you take a second to think about it, let me introduce myself. Hi, my name is Elijah, but you can call me Lay. Welcome back to A Little Atypical, a space for the deep feelers and unconventional thinkers navigating wellness, personal development, and lifestyle with a little bit more nuance. I'm here to bring fresh energy to the beauty, wellness, and personal development space by having the curiosity to dig beneath the surface. I like to talk about typical topics from a not so typical perspective, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. Before I get into it, I want to have a moment of honesty. I had no desire to create this week, at all. I had this moment of bargaining with myself, trying to talk myself out of showing up. See, my goal for March was 3 episodes. My inner dialogue went something like this: maybe I should skip recording this week and just hold off to post. The one I'm recording now is the 3rd, and if I really wasn't feeling it, I could still fulfill that if I saved this until the 30th. I stopped in my tracks because my board of directors would greatly oppose that notion. A personal board of directors is a list of people / characters / archetypes you borrow perspective from when you're tired, tempted, or even just spiraling. Logically, I could have saved this episode for the 30th of March, but it would mean not following the plan. While I'm open and flexible to changing topic ideas if the month hasn't started, the dates of posting are what's non-negotiable for me this year if it could truly be avoided. Having a board of directors or council of inspiration is crucial in times when you are challenging yourself or in times where you are being challenged. If you missed last week's episode, a huge portion of what I spoke about was ego, jealousy, and black and white thinking. Honestly, it was supposed to be a short episode, but things happen. I had a thought of what if I talked about the other side of comparison, which is getting inspired, and giving a few tips on how to do so. I compiled my list of 10 people, in this case women, because since it is Women's History Month, I just wanted to focus on that aspect of my inspiration. I'm just going to briefly yap on each inspiration and maybe end off with how to create your own board of directors if you didn't already. I want to emphasize that being inspired by others doesn't mean completely being them. I like to say our human experience is very mosaic, and who inspires you is just one piece of the experience, but not necessarily who you are. Let yourself be guided by the traits and experiences people have without a need to follow in their footsteps or an attempt to replicate. Create a compass, not a costume. The first 2 picks I am going to name are Danessa Myricks and Madam C.J. Walker. If it wasn't clear what my main industry of interest was, this will probably be the biggest hint. Starting with Danessa Myricks, I saw her at an event last September. And I'll be honest, out of all the people who spoke at the event, her and Mario, the founder of Makeup by Mario, stood out to me the most because how they were very pro education and community, and that reflects in their business models. So Miss Myricks especially is very engaged and is always at multiple events and always happy to stop and interact with people. The second time I saw her that month, I spoke to her a bit one-on-one. Seeing her confirmed the type of skills I want to utilize in the industry, education and insights. Seeing how she engaged with people made me want to be more community-centric. Funny enough, last March, womanhood was also a thought that I was having a lot of. And come again this March, I'm thinking about this topic once again, but in a different lens. I already spoke about how community wasn't something I thought of prior to actually being an adult. And just seeing how she engaged with it was very eye-opening. Honestly, I thought about having my own community someday. And that made me realize before I could do that, I need to practice being within community first. I have social anxiety to a point of physical pain every time I have to leave the house. It's the physiological part of anticipatory anxiety, and it sucks. I also felt when I did go to events, it was always so much pressure because realistically, I was not always engaging with people regularly. At times, it would be weeks or even months of not connecting with people outside my household / family and for career purposes. I needed to get used to being more consistently engaged and participating, so I chose something that would fit that for me. As for Madam C.J. Walker, I first learned about her through the Netflix docuseries, and then for my working women's course, we had to select a woman to do research on. So I chose her because she was a historical figure who just truly stuck with me. While there are so many Black women who influenced the beauty space throughout history, I felt like her methods of entrepreneurship really made me feel inspired. And especially during that time period, it took so much grit and determination. Next up is Doechii. I selected her as my next inspiration because just like Madam C.J. Walker, or technically her real name was Sarah Breedlove. Anyways, her beginnings were humble. It is so sad to see how much allegations she has as an quote-unquote industry plant when you can literally go to her page, like her YouTube, and her oldest video from 11 years ago are still up. So like she has like story times, vlogs, makeup tutorials, etc. What stood out to me most is how she used the artist way as a guide to her creativity, specifically her music. In my opinion, as a creative, she is a visionary, and whether people like her music or not, her creativity is so undeniable. And whenever I feel like not creating, or if I'm going to be honest, quitting creation, she is an inspiration that reminds me that it's worth it to just put things out there because we never know when the veil will fall. Maybe it won't be appreciated when I put it out, and many times it feels like the message is just getting lost in the noise, but none of that truly matters enough to stop a passion. The fourth one may sound a little silly, but it is Toru Honda from the anime Fruit Baskets. She is a comfort character for me because I guess I related to the fact she lost her dad at a young age, and she survived through what I would deem as a nightmare, which is losing her mom. When it comes to her, she is a complex character because many people are like, oh, she's such a Mary Sue, but a huge part of her politeness, similar to Yuki, was driven by her fear of ending up alone. So essentially a survival tactic. She also has very complex thoughts about her dad, regardless of not knowing him well. Honestly, with the way her life was going in the show, it would be truly understandable if she crashed out, turned cold, or wanted to give up, but she didn't. She was very persistent, helped people to the best of her abilities, caring, kind, and essentially kept putting effort into things regardless of how challenging. I know she's a fictional character, but she harbors so many characteristics that makes her such an impactful person in other people's lives. I'm saying in regards to her being a character in the show. And I want to be that for other people. I don't think she's perfect or too unrealistic, but I think if you watch the show enough times, you pick up on how imperfect she is and how it doesn't take away the good qualities she has to be a villager in her found village. Next is Olandria. Once again, I'm not a huge fan of reality TV shows. I am even less invested in dating shows, but when I saw her in clips on my For You page, she was the main reason I was even considering watching Love Island. She was, in fact, one of the most stunning people I've ever seen. And I think I truly admired her after her summer internship because of how she handles herself, conflict, and the newfound attention and fame. She had a lot going on after, and she handled it with such grace. And similar to Toru, when I think of things that she experienced, in her case, the racism, people constantly calling your relationship fake, being compared, etc., I would absolutely crash out because even though I struggle to express how I truly feel 98% of the time, even if I know it internally, it all eventually pours out. I'm not saying the things she experiences are unique experiences, but more so the skill that she was getting that. She handled it so well, and the more she spoke and did interviews, you could tell where her values lie, such as, in community and education. She also has this ability to alchemize situations so well, and for more shallow reasons, she's on this list. Every event she's been to, she is so eye-catching. She serves looks so well, and somehow she turns wearing an expensive outfit to a whole experience. Truly a style icon. 6 is Shonda Rhimes. She wrote and produced some of the most popular shows from, Grey's Anatomy to Scandal to Bridgerton. She is so influential in the media space. However, she became an inspiration to me when I read her book, Year of Yes. Some people don't like nonfiction books like that, but for me, it gave me so much more perspective than any self-help book. I love looking at the world from other people's eyes, and I could have related so much being an introvert and not saying yes to many things in my life. I first read the book in 2021 or 2022, I always forget, and I listened to the 10-year anniversary in February, but it came out October. There is just something about it that inspired me to play a more active role in my life and to just participate in life again. And I feel like she is a reminder of that. Speaking of books, next is Anna Wong. Whether you find her writing to be good or not, I feel like you can have so much respect for her because how intentional she is with her craft. When writing people from different backgrounds, she definitely does her research. And in general, I feel very sentimental about her because before I was reading mainly nonfiction books for solutions or like poetry for emotional awareness, and her books reminded me I can read for fun, even if it's not complex in the traditional sense. I feel like I learned so much about myself through her characters, not out of relatability, but just witnessing the actions and how conflicts are managed by the main characters, and even the friendship dynamics made me reflect a lot on my own interpersonal relationships. I also enjoy her newsletter and way of promoting her books. If I were to ever become an author, how she engages with her audience is something I would definitely take note of. Now, I know I already mentioned Doechii, but 2 more people from the music space that inspires me is Megan Thee Stallion and Sabrina Carpenter. Megan Thee Stallion, in terms of music, does help with self-concept in the sense of being comfortable in your own skin. She also has songs that are low-key underrated, like her song about anxiety is so overlooked. I also enjoy her TikToks working out because she talks so fast and is so chaotic, but so entertaining. And in general, I find her to be so unapologetic and just, she seems very good at being herself. She does cosplay. She, I believe, is going on Broadway, and overall, she's just so interesting and multifaceted. And I love her style too, even though I'm on the other side of the spectrum. Unfortunately, not a tall girl. But Sabrina Carpenter is closer to my height, and I love her style and the way she performs. She inspires me because her way of doing things is so playful and her concepts are so intriguing. Although I appreciated her older music before Espresso, my personal favorite was Looking at Me and Sue Me. However, I really loved a lot of songs from her album, The Emails I Can't Send. And the ones that hit hardest for me was All Because I Liked a Boy, Already Over, Vicious, and Nonsense. But honorable mentions from the deluxe is Feather and Opposite, but especially Feather. I loved Feather. I don't know if this is safe to admit, but at the same time, this is my space. But I loved Skin when it came out despite the drama and despite also enjoying Olivia Rodrigo as well. I remember people hating on her for it, but I interpreted the lyrics a bit different. I also know Espresso changed the trajectory of her career, but her talent was always there. And I love her current vibe. It suits her well. I think both her and Meg remind me it's okay to be versatile as well. And the final person I listed was Casey, aka Blogilates. I love how she originally wanted to do fashion design and ended up being a YouTuber and an instructor for Pilates, and then eventually founded PopFlex. So it's kind of like all of her things like came together. And I think her journey reminds me that your purpose can find you at any time. Even if it doesn't happen early on, it could still happen later. I also love how she shows her process as a designer and takes so much feedback into consideration. To summarize, Danessa and Madam CJ Walker are co-head of my career aspiration. Alandria and Toru co-head the expression department with Megan Thee Stallion as the internal director, because self-concept needs to be grounded for that outer expression to be kind and graceful while still having boundaries. Dochi and Sabrina are head of craft and creative drive. They heavily influence the visual and artistry. Shonda, Anna, and Casey are the passions and ethics department. So that is all for my list today. And now for some quick things I want you to know to create your compass instead of a costume. Something I want you to ask yourself before selecting is, when you admire a trait, is it admiration or a survival strategy you had to develop? And once you have clarity of how you view traits and deem them as high quality or not worth it, I want you to consider the following 5 suggestions. 1. If you struggle with jealousy or have a fixed mindset, try to make your board through fictional characters from books, movies, TV shows, or historical figures until you evolve from that aspect of you. Think of it as training wheels, not as a permanent rule as your confidence grows. Second, while thinking of the list, I did not include people who are close to me because for me, they have a direct influence in real time more than just inspiration. So while people close to you can inspire you, I feel like it's better to have a distinction, but that's just what worked best for my brain. If including your mom / best friend / partner / dad feels grounding, that's completely valid, and just be clear on what role they're playing for you. Third, when choosing people, I thought of it from the perspective of aspirations. So goals I have and experiences I am striving for, expressions and attitude, and personal aesthetics. If you get stuck, ask yourself, what do I want to learn? How do I want to move through the world? How do I want to feel, look, and show up? Pick based on traits you want to practice, not status you want to copy. There are so many people who can inspire you in different ways, but limiting your board to 10 to 12 is a good start. Fourth, your board will probably need to change as you change. That is not inconsistency, it's feedback. When your priorities shift, your season shifts, or your environment shifts, the voices you need around you will shift too. Revisit your board every season or quarter, and anytime you are going through a big life change. And the fifth thing is to use a role mix to choose your board. So, pick one person for discipline / consistency, one for self-concept / confidence, one for craft / skills, one for softness and healing, and one for style and aesthetics. One person can hold multiple roles, and your board can include archetypes. So, like the scholar or the soft life auntie. It doesn't need to be all public figures. And then fill the rest with whoever represents traits that you are actively trying to practice in the season. So here's your challenge for this week. Before that day ends, pick 5, name the traits, and choose one action you're doing this week because of them. So that is all for today. And for the topic for April, it is to be determined. I'm not sure if what I originally planned for is what I want to focus on. So I guess it will be announced in the reset episode. I feel like March has been emotionally depleting. I went into this year pretty calm, but I had a lot of moments of emotional turbulence this month. And it's like 1 minute I'm okay, and the next I'm just beyond irritable. And it feels like I'm on a verge of a breakdown. And I think waiting for an answer to something is the most depleting thing for me because I overthink. Truthfully, I would rather be told whether something is going to happen or not as fast as possible because it allows me to say, oh, that worked, so now I can focus on the next phase of my 2026 goals, or tell me it didn't work out so I can figure out what I should try next. There is so much energy required for what I'm working on, but the outcome will determine how I go about it. So that's just a quick little update. Now let's transition into this week's card pull. The day I'm recording this is the day of the Pisces new moon. And since this is going to be the last episode of the month, I'll pull one from the Moonology deck and one from the Self-Care Oracle. Remember, if card pulls aren't your thing, and this is usually when you click off, thank you for listening, and be sure to come back next month. Follow so you can stay up to date with new episodes, catch up with old episodes, and rate the podcast 5 stars so more like-minded people can add it to their agendas for their Council of Inspiration check-in. Thank you in advance, and let's get started with the Moonology deck. So the card we got was Full Moon Eclipse. Conclusions are within reach. Full Moon Eclipse, and just like that, a door slams shut. If you pulled this card, it suggests that the situation you're asking is about to reach a peak, or has it just done so, and things are now out of your hands. What you're experiencing now is what your soul signed up for, a way for you to learn and for your soul to evolve. So allow events to unfold and be easy on yourself. If you're letting go of someone or something, know that it's the right time. As hard as it might be, forgiving someone for what they did could be key to resolving the situation in a positive way. It doesn't make what they did right, but it releases it so you can move on. Attune to the moon. That which is meant for me will not pass me by. Additional meanings for this card. Doors which slam shut now will not reopen. It's time for you to get back on track. Forgiveness will set you free of karma. Meditation, pranayama, and yoga nidra are all recommended now. Cede control and let events unfold. The teaching. Full moons are nearly always about climaxes and very often about conclusions. Full moon eclipses are the same but on steroids. A full moon eclipse can be hard to handle because it's important change, something many of us are uncomfortable with, but change is part of life, and this card, no matter when you pull it, reminds you of that fact. Full moon eclipses can also give us a glimpse into what Carl Jung called the shadow self. Work with your darkness. And the self-care card we got was number 18, which was dance. So the mantra reads, I feel empowered to express myself through movement, embracing my unique dance style. Dancing can be an incredibly liberating experience, allowing for a unique form of self-expression and a more profound sense of embodiment. It allows us to return to the body in the here and now, to clear energetic blocks, to push our physical limitations, and to stretch into new realms of movement and creativity. So whether you want to put on your dancing shoes or go barefoot, it's time to move and shake what your mama gave you. Take a dance class, watch a video tutorial about a specific dance style, or just enjoy dancing at home for your own pleasure. As you gain more confidence in your ability to move and express yourself, you might try ecstatic dance, night out dancing at a club, burlesque, dancing for your lover, or even taking a class and performing on stage. If you have a physical limitation that prevents you from dancing, try a closed eye meditation in which you visualize yourself dancing. While doing so, notice how your energy is moving and release any limiting beliefs and old stories that no longer serves you. Journal prompt. Do you feel comfortable dancing? If yes, what style of dance makes you feel most radiant and expresses you? If no, why do you feel uncomfortable? And how do you think you could work through this discomfort? Okay, so first off, I found getting these cards together funny because this is the last moon before the astrological new year officially starts in like 2 days. And the day of the new moon is March 18th. So the card number matched the date. Anyways, seeing these two cards together feels like a direct message to release and flow. For the collective, it reads like a reminder that something is wrapping up, whether you feel ready or not, and forcing an outcome will only create more resistance. This is a season to release your grip, let go of what's ending, and trust that what's meant for you will meet you in motion, not in control. I also think it is a reminder that while you are waiting, remember to dance, add some play, release some tension to move into clarity. Dancing is so healthy for us as a society, and one of the main things that actually kept us sane in times of uncertainty, and that has been proven time and time again. Because think of any historical point. When things were bad, what did people do? When people were uncertain, what did people do? Dance. And that's all for today. Thank you for tuning into today's episode of A Little Atypical. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe and share this with someone who might need to hear this message. Remember to view the description box where you can find important links such as the one to my website where there is so much more bonus content, and of course to my Substack as well, because I am trying to post more on there as well. So until next time, have a good day, evening, or night, and stay authentically atypical. Okay, bye!